Thank you for joining us this evening for the live stream at the Tri-County Fairgrounds for the Junior Livestock Show. Please be patient as we wait for the livestock show to begin.
Don't shake the table. Did you do that on a scroll?
Alright, I'm sitting like this.
Don't shake the table. No, really.
I can do that. I can stay with it.
Yeah, welcome to Digital Show.
I don't know where I put it, so I can make it way down here.
You guys by chance have microphones over here?
Yep, we
Yes,
do.
ma'am.
Can I steal them from you? Thank you.
Well, I like to do it, but it's
Did you put an exclamation after that?
no,
Good evening and welcome to our beef show. This is the first call for the breeding beef show. Please be ready ringside.
How about I add that for you grammatically correct people real quick? Welcome. Oh, sure. Why not? What would you like here?
Exclamation.
Go with that. Ooh, yeah, there you go. That looks horrible.
You need wide Latin. Let's know anything about typography.
Alright, everybody at home watching this as they keep telling me to change fonts and stuff. Hope you're enjoying the laughing parrot. What is Baloo?
Wide Latin.
Wide Latin. I gotta do that. That is wide Latin.
Now entering the ring is the breeding beef show.
Sorry.
Oh, wrong camera. Going to you. Ooh, we gotta lighten you up.
I'm gonna put you on auto. You already lightened it up.
Currently in the ring is the breeding beef show. Following this, we have class 1 of the market beef show. Please be ready ringside.
Everything's gonna be over there. I know the camera's a point over here.
Much better. Yeah, I'm moving.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna go to switch to this one. As they come in front, I'm gonna go to 2. I'm going to 4.
Zooming out.
Yep. Back to you. You ready?
Yep.
sure right now. I'm gonna go to 2. No, that's fine. I'm on 2.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank Jen and Haley over here for having me out. Bishop is a beautiful place. We're staying up at Mammoth Lakes, and Ellie and I don't think ever expected to be in anywhere so beautiful to come sort of county fair. So we're happy to be here, even if there aren't huge numbers here in the heifer show and the cattle show all together. We're excited to be here, excited to work with the kids, and excited to work through your livestock. Now, the pair of heifers that we have out here, I think, are similar in their type and kind. I think they're very similar in terms of their utility. I think where they get sorted is in terms of rib shape and dimension, and overall, I guess, just depth of body and cow power. To me, there's one of them that's just a bit bigger through her heart and forerib, and that just allows her to tell the same story of productivity from there back. The young man here in the front's got your champion heifer, and the young lady's got your reserve. Give these kids a good round of applause.
Congratulations, your champion goes to Ben Kemp, and reserve champion goes to Tanner Ludwig.
I'll catch you guys on the outside of the ring.
Now entering the ring is Class 1 of the Market Beef Show.
Okay, we're going to you. You ready?
Currently in the ring is Class 1. This is the first call for Class 2. Please be ready ringside.
I'm going to 3. Oh, go ahead and zoom in real quick. Zoom fast. Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Oh, you're out of focus there. Don't worry about it. Going to you.
Read into this first class of steers, and I think that they're very similar from the side. Again, a lot like what we talked about with the heifers. I think they're very similar in terms of their type and kind. I think they're very similar in terms of their build. To me, there's one of them that's just a notch wider when you step in behind him. I think he offers a bit more power. I think he offers a bit more spread. Again, the young man here in the front's going to be first here in this class. The man is going to be second here behind him. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause.
In first place is Will Kemp, and in second place, Cooper Pete.
Yeah, I have that as, so I have, this one is primary, secondary, class. Looks like it's total. Audience here.
Now entering the ring is Class 2.
On you.
Currently in the ring is Class 2. This is the first call for Class 3. Please make your way to ringside.
Coming back to you. No, going to 2 real quick. Now I'm going to you.
Sorry for a little confusion. I wanted to move the cattle away from the speaker over here when I was circling them. Again, a pair of cattle that are similar in their type and kind. I think one of them is maybe a bit more moderate in his build, and I think that's what allows him to be more productive in his rib shape. It's what allows him to put on that bigger hip and bigger, I guess, rear stifle and more power and more meat. Young man here to my right with the black calf is going to win the class, and the young lady is going to be second. Go ahead and give them a good round of applause.
In first place is Jesus Delgado. In second place, Kiara Delgado.
Yes, there you go.
Now entering the ring is Class 3.
A little more short in this trio of steers than maybe what we've seen in the classes before, but still I think that the same thing, there's the same thing rings true with this class. Again, I think a lot of cattle, or a trio of cattle that are similar in their type and kind, and you can just break them down in basic meat animal characteristics. You know, to me, again, there's one of them, or there's a pair of them, I guess, that are a bit more moderate in their type and kind, and then within that pair, there's one of them that packs on the extra shape, that packs on the extra power. The young lady here in the middle's got your class winner. Again, I think that steer's got the extra power and he's got the extra mass, and not only that, but I think he's the most comfortable whenever they're setting the motion. Young lady's red cap is going to go second, and again, I like the extra shape and the extra dimension that steer has. This gets a notch more upright in terms of the way he uses his rear leg. I like to get him more comfortable when he's setting the motion. Same can be said about the steer that rounds out the class. Need to get that steer a notch more comfortable when he's set into motion, and then I like to put a bit more product on him as well. Go ahead and give these applause as they make their way back.
In first place, we have Taryn Mitchner. Second place, Zoe Daly. And in third place, Reed Burton. Next in the ring, we have Class 4. Now entering the ring is Class 4. This is the first call for Class 5. Please be ready ringside.
Bring back to you. Okay, I'm gonna go to 2 here when it starts to watch. I'm on 2. And then stand 2 and proceed panther. First going to 4, and then I'm gonna come to you. Ready? And you.
Relatively easy pair to work through. Again, I think that there's a steer that kind of runs away with it. Not only is the white steer the best in terms of his skeletal angles and the best in terms of his center body, he's the biggest in terms of his outline, he's the biggest in terms of his hip, he's the biggest in terms of his meat. I'd expect him to rail with the largest carcass and offer the he's done. Go ahead and give that young lady a good round of applause. She's got your class winner. The young man will be second.
In first place is Peyton Johnson. And in second place, Hayden Brooks. Currently in the ring is the 4-H Champion Drive. Following this is Class 5.
go ahead and give all our steer exhibitors out here a good round of applause. I think, again, maybe it wasn't a huge number steer show, but you just get it down to just basic market animal, basic characteristics, and we just talk about these steers and where their endpoint is and what their real world value is. I think we still have some pretty good cattle out here, and I think that there's 3 of them out here that it comes down to. I think that there's a pair of them that are maybe a bit, I guess, a bit broader when you get right up on top of them, and maybe I showed my cards just a little bit in that last class. I thought there was one of them that kind of hit me a little bit harder than a lot of the other steers that came through. Just talk about one that's big in terms of his middle, he's big in terms of his back, he's big in terms of his hip, and I know that those are a lot of things that we talk about in pigs. I think those definitely fit this steer. And then he's comfortable in terms of his skeleton. Young lady with the white calf is going to be her champion. Give her a good round of applause. From there, I think that the steer that was second in that class falls right into the mix, and I think that he's the other one that's in the discussion with the steer that was just out of the class just before those cattle. I think that between those 2 steers, again, you just talk about one of them that's a bit broader when you get right up on top of them, and honestly, I didn't go through and handle them because I don't think that you had to handle these cattle to tell the difference. Again, one of them's just so much bigger and offers so much more power right out of the backside of his shoulder. Young lady on the far side that won the 3rd class is going to be reserved. Give her a good round of applause.
Congratulations. The 4th champion goes to Peyton Johnson. And reserve 4-H champion goes to Taryn Mitchner. Now entering the ring is Class 5 of FFA Market Beef.
Good single entry calf to start out our FFA show here. Again, you just talk about one that's big and productive in his middle. He's big when you get up on top of him. He's big when you get behind him. We'll see how he stacks up against the rest of the class winners when he comes back out. Give this young lady a good round of applause as she makes her way back.
In first place, Anastasia Harvey. Next in the ring, we have Class 6 of FFA Market Beef. Our judge today is Brennan Deason from Coffeen, Illinois. Brennan is a graduate of Lakeland College and Western Illinois University, where he was on a highly competitive livestock judging team. Since graduating, Brennan has been working as a regional sales rep for Choice of Champions Livestock while working on his competitive show pig and commercial cattle operation with his very new fiancee, Ellie. Let's give Brennan a warm Bishop welcome. Currently in the ring is Class 6. This is the first call for Class 7. Please make your way to ringside.
Really like the cattle here in this next class, especially here on the top end, and really the top trio of steers. I think that there's some good things about, and again, maybe there's some things that you'd like to change about those cattle. I still think there's one of them that you land on that's kind of hard to miss. Young lady on the far side, again, is just one that kind of runs away with this class. You talk about one that's got the extra feature and the extra look and the extra pieces that it takes to be competitive in a show ring, and then he still has the extra product and the extra meat and the extra, I guess, the extra power that it takes takes to still be a functional kind of a real world calf. Young lady that goes second here in this class, again, another one that's a lot like our class winner in terms of the extra stoutness he has at the ground, in terms of the extra foot size he has. Maybe he just runs out of gas when you step in behind him. I think he's a shot shallower there in terms of his twist. I'd like to give him a bit more power, a bit more turn there to his stifle to go ahead and compete with the one that's there ahead of him. But still, I like that steer a good bit. Just when you talk about his basic kind, his basic feature, one that goes next here in third is one that you like in terms of the center portion of his body. And if you just talk about his rib cage, you probably like him the best here of anything in the class. Unfortunately, you start to work off of either end of his skeleton and he wants to taper off ever so slightly. He's the narrowest out of his pins of the initial three cattle, and then he's the lightest in terms of his muscle dimension when you get up on top of him. Talk about the remaining pair of steers here in this class, and again, you just talk about a pair of cattle that are functional in terms of their build, they're functional in terms of their design, maybe just need a shot more power, a shot more product to go ahead and move up. Young lady's calf, I think he'll have the advantage in terms of freshness and cutability as we keep on moving up through the weight. Young man's steer that runs out there, that rounds out the class. Again, you like the extra middle that he's got, just maybe just push a bit far too past 12 o'clock right now. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as they make their way back.
In first place, Juanita Joseph. Second place, Tara Rossi. Third place, Cord Peak. Fourth place, Dominique Enriquez. And in fifth place, Wade Van Ness. Next in the ring, we have Class 7.
was joking with the girls behind the desk. I don't think that we've put the cattle in the same place to talk them once throughout this whole deal. I think that we keep shifting them around. So sorry if I'm confusing anyone. It's just sometimes the way it works out here, just trying to keep things flowing nice and make things, I guess, work smooth for everyone. So sorry if you get confused on the ring side at all. Young man that starts off the class on the far side, again, you just talk about a steer that just brings the most good with the least amount of bad. You talk about a steer from the side that's got the right kind of silhouette and still has the extra muscle and still has the extra shape. And in relation to the pair of steers that are just below him, I think that he's much, much more comfortable. I think he's much more agile when he's asked to lead. Pair of steers that go next, I think, are very, very similar in terms of their extra shape, in terms of their extra dimension. I break them down when they're set into motion. Young man that goes second there with the second white calf is going to go again, just because he's excuse me, he's more comfortable whenever they're asked to lead. Again, I think he's more relaxed in terms of his blade. I think that allows him to stay more agile whenever they're pulled across the ring. Young lady steer that goes next, big and round when you get up on top of him. You like the extra shape he's got out of the backside of his shoulder. Need to get that one more comfortable off of his skeletal angles to go ahead and move up. And the young man steer that rounds out the class. Another one you like for his extra shape and dimension there in terms of his center body. Just need a shot more power. Just need to blow that steer apart off either end of his skeleton. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as we work into the next one.
In first place, Connor Holland. Second place, Abram Jimenez. Third place, Haywee Fredericks. And in fourth place, Neftali Ruiz. Now entering the ring is Class 8. Currently in the ring is Class 8. This is the first call for Class 9. Please make your way to ringside.
little bit more give and take here in this class of steers. A little more give and take here in this class of steers. And again, I think that there's some things that you like about some of these calves, and there's some things that you want to change about them, but still, I think I landed on the steer that brings the most amount of good, again, with the least amount of bad. Just talk about a steer that does an effective job of covering the basic market animal fundamentals and still has a show animal look. Again, a steer that has the extra feature, has the extra look, and then has the extra dimension and the extra power that it takes to still be a high quality, a real animal steer. Give the young lady a good round of applause who wins the class. From there, again, I think that the trio of steers that come next are very similar in terms of their type and kind. I think that there's one of them, again, that just puts the two of them together, I guess, the most good and the two of them together, and then has the better skeleton of the three. Young lady that goes second, again, you like the skeleton in that calf, you like the extra power and the extra spread that he has. Maybe just doesn't have the extra look and the extra feature of the steer that goes ahead and wins, but still a nice one to land there in the two hole. And then a pair of calves, again, that are very similar to the one that just went second. Break them down from a skeletal standpoint, and I think that's where the steer that lands third has to stay about right where he's at. For me, he just gets a notch too coarse and open there in terms of his shoulder, and then he's the most restricted off of his rear two as well whenever they're set into motion. Just talk about the extra spread and dimension that he has. I think that's what keeps him up there on the top end of the class, or right there in the middle where he's at, but still just needs to be a bit more comfortable whenever he's set into motion to go up any higher. Young lady's calf that comes next, again, maybe more comfortable whenever he's put on the go, but still just needs a notch more power when you step in behind him. Need a bit more shape out of his stifle, need a bit more shape, I guess, in general, especially right out of the backside of his shoulder as well. Young man steer that rounds out the class just gets a notch plainer and flatter as we relate him to the steers above him. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as they head out.
In first place, Kimberlyn Alderman. Second place, Ashley Kibler. Third place, Lacey Lehigh. Fourth place, Sadie Deshawn. And in fifth place, Paul Olin. Now entering the ring is Class 9.
I don't want to work too fast, but still, I think that it's a fairly logical placing here in this class. I think that it's pretty easy to use the white steer to go ahead and win. Not only does he overwhelm the black steer in terms of his extra foot size and in terms of his extra feature at the ground, he's got the advantages from there up in terms of his big rib shape, in terms of his big hip, and in terms of his extra meat animal shape. Go ahead and give the young lady a good round of applause. She's going to be first. I'm going to be second. Give him a good round of applause.
In first place, Chance Pratt. And in second place, Austin Van Nest. Next in the ring, we will have the FFA Champion Drive.
Let's go ahead and give all of our steer exhibitors out here a good round of applause. Again, I think that we have a lot of high quality cattle out here. You know, maybe do we have the one that just reaches out and says, hey, I'm here to win? I don't know if we do. But I still think that we have a lot of high quality pieces of cattle out here. Again, you talk about real world animals. I think that we have some really high quality steers in that regard. You know, if you could Well, if you could just fill a feedlot with a lot of these steers kind out here, I think that you wouldn't be going out of business, because I think that there's a lot of real world value in the steers that we have in the ring out here. We talk about the 4 steers that won the 5 steers that won their classes, and I think that they're the 5 steers that are in contention. And Excuse me, I think they're the 5 steers that are in contention out here. And taking nothing away from our second places over there, I just think that there's a trio of them up here, or a trio of them out here that kind of just surface and again just bring forth the things that I've been looking for. They have the extra show animal look, they have the extra feature, and then they still cover the basic market animal fundamentals of the extra product, the extra power, and the extra shape. The 3 steers I'm talking about are the 3 that are right here in the middle of the ring in front of me. I think that between the 3 of them, there's some subtle differences. You study them from the outside, and you're not really sure which one you like. You know, I guess just to talk all 3 of them as individuals, the one that's up front just kind of falls out of balance for me from the side. He's a notch deeper in terms of where his brisket's at. He's a notch more cut up in terms of his flank. I think that if we could take some of that extra chest off of him and put it back into his flank, we'd have a really good looking steer from the side, and then I think that one would be kind of lights out and be an easy place to go ahead and gravitate towards. Then you talk about the white calf, and he's big and productive in his middle. He's big in his hip. He's big in terms of his shape. Maybe doesn't have the look and the extra feature of the steer that's just there ahead of him. Get your hands on him, and he's probably the plainest calf of these 3 that are out here that I'm talking. But still, you just like the extra balance that steer presents from the side. Same can be said about the steer that rounds out the trio that I'm talking here, that black steer. Same can be said about him. You like the extra balance that he has. You like the extra forerib that he has, especially in relation to the steer that's up there, the first one that I talked to, this trio. You like the extra flank that he has and the extra body he presents. Get your hands on that calf, and again, he's probably one of the plainer 2 cattle of the pair, or of the trio, and then he's got the extra bark. He's got the extra fat, I guess, if you will. To me, he's just pushed a little bit too far past where he should be from an extra condition standpoint. And when you just talk about these cattle, when you get their hands on them, or when you get your hands on them, I think there is one of them that just kind of stands out. Young lady's going to be your champion on the far end. Give her a good round of applause. From there, again, I think it was really close between the trio of steers. Again, I think that there was one of them that just brings so much good, and I guess with the least amount of bad. Young man with the white calf that was second there in the lineup is going to be a reserve. Give him a good round of applause.
Your FFA champion goes to Juanita Joseph. And reserve champion is Connor Holland.
How's it look?
Now entering the ring, we will have the Supreme Champion Drive.
Go ahead and give our steer exhibitors one more good round of applause. We dropped the 4 back out in contention for champion and reserve, and I think that, again, I like the 4 cattle that we have out here. Again, you just talk about the real-world value, and I think that there's a lot of it out here in the ring. I think there's a pair of cattle that overwhelm, I guess, the other pair in terms of the extra mass, in terms of the extra spread they have, especially when you get right up on the top side of these cattle. I don't think you have to set them in motion to be able to sort these things. I think that there's a pair of them, again, that are just overwhelming in terms of their extra bulk and their extra mass. The FFA steers are going to be champion and reserve. Go ahead and give them a good round of applause.
Your FFA champion goes to Juanita Joseph. And FFA reserve champion goes to Connor Holland. Next in the ring, we will have Class 1 of the dairy heifers. Please start making your way to ringside.
That's what I think is on the inside more than stuff the outside. Like, she's still right there. Okay.
Currently in the ring is Class 1 of dairy heifers. This is the first call of Class 2. Please be ready at the ringside.
fun trio of heifers to sort through, and I think there's a pair of them that kind of work their way up just in terms of skeletal quality. The pair of heifers on either end will be the two that are in first and second. I think that between that pair, again, just talk about skeletal quality and balance. I think the young man's heifer on the far end does a more effective job of pulling herself together whenever they're set into motion. She's stronger in terms of her top line. She's more correct in terms of her skeletal angles. Young ladies heifer that goes second here in this class, again, you just talk about one that's comfortable and one that's agile in terms of whenever they're set to in motion and whenever they're asked to lead. I think that one is really comfortable off of either end of her skeleton. Unfortunately, her extra comfort level may lead to her undoing. She gets a notch weaker in terms of her top line. She gets a little bit off right behind her shoulder. And the young ladies heifer that rounds out the class here, again, just gets a little bit off in terms of her top line. Wants to round from her hooks to her pins, gets a notch off in terms of her balance as a result. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as we get into the next class.
Results from Class 1. In first place was Blake Phillips. Second place, Samantha Rhodes. And in third place, Riley Phillips. Currently in the ring is Class 2.
Fun group of heifers to work through, and again, just sorting them on skeletal quality. I think the young lady on the far side of the ring there kind of runs away with it. You talk about one that's right in terms of her silhouette from the side, and I think that's just because of her skeletal angles and the fact that they are so correct and the fact that she's got them set in there so neat. That's what allows her to stay so comfortable, and that's what allows her to stay so attractive whenever she's set into motion and whenever she's asked to lead across the ring. Young ladies that goes next maybe have the advantage in terms of the extra dimension she has to the upper portion of her rib, and I'd expect her productivity to follow and maybe to be in her advantage because of that. Still, you just talk about balance, and then you talk about their skeletal quality. I think that she falls out of contention from the side. I like to tie her neck in a little neater to the top side of her shoulder to go ahead and run with that class winner. Young man's that goes next. Again, you just talk about one you like in terms of the way she's built. I'd like to change the way she's put together up front, though. I think she's a notch more upright in terms of her blade. I think she'll get a notch coarser and more open in terms of her shoulder as a result of that as she continues to mature. we just start rounding out the class with a pair of cattle that, again, you just talk about them being similar in their type and kind. They're similar in terms of their productive shape to their rib. They're similar in terms of their skeleton. I think they're similar as well in terms of where they need to be fixed. They need to be changed in terms of the way their neck latches to the top side of their shoulder. I'd like to change the way they both slope out of their hooks to their pins, but still, I think a high-quality pair of heifers to round out the class. Go ahead and give these kids a good round of applause as they make their way back.
In first place, Audrey Anta. Second place, Hannah Yant. Third place, Stephen Banta. And in fourth and fifth place was Hannah Yant. Next in the ring, we have the champion heifers.
Let's go ahead and give our dairy heifer exhibitors out here a good round of applause. Again, I think a high-quality show, maybe not the biggest in terms of numbers, but still, I think a high-quality 4 heifers that we got out here. And again, that you just talk about their real-world value and where they fit. I think that there's a lot of value in the 4 animals that are out here. You just start projecting some of these and getting on down the line where you think that they're going to fit. I think there's a couple of them that are a little bit neater in terms of the way they're put together. I think there's a couple of them that are going to stay neater whenever they get bigger. Maybe they're not the biggest cattle out here right now, but the two, the young lady on the far side and then the young lady here that's second to me, the 2 Holstein cattle will be champion in reserve. Give those kids a good round of applause.
Our champion goes to Audrina Banta, and reserve champion goes to Hannah Younts. Congratulations.